we have a tenant who has not paid for rent or water and lights for almost 2 years. The eviction was served on the 17th of January, I'm assuming this year, and the date for the tenant to vacate was the 19th of Feb. On the 18th of Feb, a letter was served from a lawyer saying that they are filing an appeal today on the 22nd. But as yet, we have not received any notification of an appeal. Kathleen wants to know, can the sheriff proceed with the eviction in this matter?
Cool. So again, the disclaimer that should come out at the beginning of the show is that we can't give legal advice if we haven't actually consulted or looked at the papers or understood what is happening. So that's the disclaimer on every question. I'm going to keep saying this until I don't need to say it anymore. But so just quick explanation. The eviction was served on the 17th. I'm assuming Kathleen means the eviction order. The eviction order was basically granted. It was served. The tenant had 1 month approximately to vacate. And now they've been informed that there's an intention to file an appeal. Now, in terms of our uniform rules of court, only the actual filing of an appeal or a leave to appeal would suspend the execution of the eviction order, not the threat to do so. So you're good for now in the sense that it's simply a threat. There is no appeal being filed, so you can proceed with the execution of the eviction order. What I have found normally is they file the appeals relatively quickly. So if you do start with an eviction today, you might halfway through the eviction receive a notice, like an application for leave to appeal or something of the sort, that's going to halt, like basically stop the appeal, and all that money is going to be spent. So depending on what type of client you are, I had clients that went, let's do it. Because if we can finish it in 2 hours and they haven't filed it in 2 hours, good for us. And then they're out of the property, then it's too late. And they can't simply just waltz back in. Whereas I've had clients that went, well, what are the cost implications? Like, well, the sheriff might charge you 15,000 Rand, 20,000 Rand to do this eviction. So you're going to fork that out. The sheriff's going to basically hire the laborers and the trucks for the day. And if halfway through you receive that notice, the sheriff's going to stop. And you're now stuck having like done the eviction halfway. And basically, these people now need to unload their stuff and put it back in the house. What does work, so if you're leaning on the side of being prudent and not wanting to spend the money, I would suggest communicate back with the attorney, advise them that you haven't received anything. Check with the time frame. So like, for example, if you're going directly to the SCA, you need to do it within 30 days. So check the time frames just to see where you are in the appeal process and how late they are. Because if it gets time to a point where they're out of time, then it makes your life easier, because when they apply to the SCA or for leave to appeal and they're out of time, they need to, in addition, and justify the condemnation aspect. Why were they late? But because you sent the letter and you told them, I haven't received it, I want to proceed, you're prejudicing me, it actually reduces the chance of their success in condemnation, because they were informed that they were almost late and that it's time to execute. So I would definitely send out that notice first, give them a deadline. If you must, give them a deadline and say, great, I'll give you until tomorrow midday. If you don't do it by tomorrow midday, if they're already out of time, different story. There, I would actually turn around and say, look, you're out of time. We're proceeding. We're not in any way accepting late filing, but if you serve it in the next 2 hours, we won't proceed until the court has made a decision.
Bruno, I think we need to explain to our viewers why you and I gave each other a side look and started giggling on this one, because what happens is whenever you send the sheriff to commence with an eviction, that phone call from the sheriff to say they are filing a leave to appeal, or they are bringing an urgent application, everything in your body drops into your tummy and you're like, now I have to call my clients and explain this. I think that's why we had to explain that one, because that's the worst thing and the worst feeling, because your client's so excited. The eviction is finally happening. They've spent quite some time and obviously money to get this order, and they thought today is the day that they are finally getting possession of their property back. And the moment that that application hits you, I think it's important for our viewers to know that the attorney then wants to cry a little bit more even than the client.
Absolutely agreed.
Thanks, guys.